My name is Chris Carroll, I work for the European Consumer Organisation today. We've heard a lot today about the sorts of measures and policy tools and technologies that could be utilised to cut the carbon footprint of the car sector. We haven't heard so much about how car buyers can be influenced to do so. And one way of doing this is to ensure that car buyers have reliable and easy to understand information about the sorts of fuel consumption that different cars have. And as things stand right now across Europe, we have a situation where, yes, we have a car labelling directive, but one of the problems with the implementation of this has been that member states have implemented it in a range of different ways, which has led to a lot of confusion amongst car buyers as to what car suits their needs. Issues surrounding absolute emissions of different vehicles, the fuel consumption, the fuel cost savings that they'll be able to achieve, and also the points at which information that is being made available differs from member state to member state. So my question to the panel would be, what role does the panel think car labelling has in terms of moving towards a decarbonised sector, and also a question to the Commission as to whether the Commission has plans to revise and improve the car labelling directive to ensure that we move towards a more a lower carbon car sector in the foreseeable future.
Okay, who'd like to come in on that first, if anybody? Yeah, Johann?
Yes, I fully agree. I think what we will see in the near future is that the job of car salesperson will become important again, because today you have decision on whether to take leather seats or which color of the exterior, but in the future it will be important before buying a car to know where you live, what is the infrastructure available, what is the mileage you use it per year. Do you have the possibility to load it at a certain preferred rate during the night or not? And only that, after that, you can take a reasonable decision on which technology to buy. I think we should go ahead in a technology neutral way, so we would not favor any single technology over the other. But of course, there is a certain case for the electric vehicle, because loading takes longer, the battery is more expensive, and the range is a little bit less than other cars. That's the first important point. The second, as I said, we will need some clearer information on wherever the fueling stations are, on what amount of energy the consumer gets for his euro.
Okay, Fortis.
Well, on this labeling directive, yes, I mean, it's worthwhile to re-examine if it covers the requirements that it has been set off. I think my colleagues in British Enterprise will have to look at it, and it's a good point, which maybe somebody has to realize if the instrument that we had there for some years, it is really has to be updated to include the new dimension that it was mentioned, and some of the elements that they were mentioned before. If we need to add extra elements on this package we have for the moment.
Okay, good. We have some more questions. Yeah. Gentleman at the back there, and then we'll come to you.
Just I wanted to pick up on a point that I think that Josh mentioned. I think don't fade out carbon, stop carbon now. Did I understand that correctly? I think that you weren't in agreement with fading out.
I think the point that I wanted to make is we spent the past 5 years trying to indeed get the carbon out of our carbon fuels, both on the fossil side and on the bio side. Well, we don't fully know, because we don't yet have a final agreement on either the Fuel Quality Directive or the biofuels. But it doesn't look like we, after 5 years of effort, have solved that problem. So, is the next question, should we just generally disqualify all the carbon-based fuels and focus on the zero carbon ones? That was the provocative question. A shift in policy approach. But unless the key actors in this field, do commit to re-engaging in this battle instead of resisting it, then I see not so much perspective for that to happen. And then the obvious conclusion is, okay, if it's not you guys, then let's focus on the zero carbon ones.
The second one I was thinking, if I slightly understand it correctly, can you see any negative repercussions, if you like, so suddenly?
Well, this is Europe, so unfortunately things don't happen that suddenly here. I'm just arguing for a change in policy, putting the question whether we should have a change in policy approach and become a little bit less patient, a little bit less technology neutral, and actually start to make some choices like quite a few other regions in the world, notably the States, notably China, are making. Become a bit more gung-ho about the solution that has the potential to deliver zero carbon in the end.
Okay, we had a question here.
I'm Abdul Abedi from the European Waste to Battery Association. I could see how all the panelists agree on one fact, which is that conventional biofuels were not what we thought at the beginning, and they are bound to be phased out. And building on that, it is clear that we need an alternative to what we're going to do in 2050, and the alternative mostly comes from what we call the advanced biofuels. And most of these advanced biofuels are not commercially available yet, so that's why we have some problems. So what I think from all the contribution is why don't we pay a bit of attention to non-conventional biofuels, which are not food versus fuel competing, which have a great greenhouse gas performance, which are currently commercially available, and these are waste-based biofuels. Like, for example, used to be oil-based biofuels. The Commission is scrapping all reference to biofuels after 2020. Probably there are good reasons for that. In 3 weeks, the Commission is going to present a proposal for a circular economy with a particular focus on waste recovery, and based on mentioning this. Why do you think it is happening? Is that because waste is not fancy, or smells bad?
Okay. Anyone? Yeah, Matthew.
I mean,
As the non-cooking oil man.
Yes, I'm not a cooking oil man, but I'd like to echo the sentiment. I just want to tie a few things together. Someone made a great point about freight. What are we going to do about freight? It's a growing sector. It's basically a diesel-based sector. In the case of aviation, it's a kerosene-based sector. There is not a battery technology that's going to move that much material around Europe anytime soon, if ever. And even fuel cells are challenged. So we're going to need very high energy density fuels to move freight around. Now, the highest energy density fuel known to science by volume is diesel. It's even higher energy density than rocket fuel and hydrogen. So what you do, you need to find a biodiesel.
I will, if you allow me.
Yeah, please.
I will not agree. We talked about the electrons and the molecules. I think Shell still thinks molecules. I think we should start thinking about electrons. Why, let's say, freight on road cannot follow the model that we have for the rail. The rail is using engines that they are not molecule-based, they are electricity-based, and the primary source of electricity comes from alternatives. So why, let's say, we are stuck on that diesel engines are the future for the truck of the future? No. Let's start thinking differently. Let's thinking about road trains, that they will be using alternative issues of energy, and we can have it bloody hell in 10 years. The cycle of a truck is 10 years. It's not like 25 years or 30 years we have to make a low-base tunnel in the Alps. And people renew, they change. But our industry in some respects, sorry to say, is sleeping. And they are not advancing much. So I think we have to start, from a policy perspective, we have to take some initiative and say, listen guys, we're not going to finance on the future anything on the infrastructure except if there is electricity supply on the top of the road infrastructure as well. And get the trucks of the future be different. But it's not for me to decide. But okay, I mean, I throw you an idea on the table.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Matthew,
I accept
please.
it as so modal shift. I mean, what you're describing is modal shift, and I would agree with that. You know, if we can move, if we can change mode to alter the demand pattern, then I accept that as a way to introduce.
No, I didn't say that. I said road trains. I didn't say iron-based trains. Put on our roads a different type of truck that use an alternative means of propulsion that they are using till today. As we are doing, let's say, why we are talking about cars to get an alternative means of propulsion? Why we cannot do it for the trucks? Why we cannot think a bit differently on that? And this will give a tremendous option for our industry in the future. There are some experiments, we know about that, but also our research should concentrate as well on certain elements that will not be a small step every time. Let's go for a big frog jump to get something different for the future. If we want to, let's say, change our dependency on oil, let's say, change our dependency on, and the Chinese, they are doing exactly that. We will have the Chinese truck in our roads in less than 10 years. Wait and see. I will still be alive.
Okay. Matthew, do you want to come back on that? Or, okay.
Be happy to learn more about it. I mean, have we got a solution for aviation on similar lines?
That's for the next event. Okay, very good.
But aviation is
Very short point, please, because we're running out of time.
You confirm my fear because you did not address waste in your answer. But leaving that aside, I mean, we are talking about what's going to happen in 2050, but we don't know what we are going to do for the next 15 years. And during the discussions, I mean, the wonderful technology of using electrolysis to produce hydrogen fuel was unfortunate. And we have technologies that would allow decarbonizing a lot more for the next 15 years. So keep in mind. Thanks.
Okay. Just to wrap up, actually, unless there are no more questions, which I don't see, I'd like to go along the panel and just say, the focus of the debate was decarbonising road transport, the path to 2050. What's your estimate of the EU's chances of achieving the goal, 60% reduction in CO2 emissions, almost complete phase out of fossil fuel vehicles in urban centres? So starting with Matthew, and then we'll work back this way. Very briefly, if you can.
I think reasonably high, provided technology and policy can deliver and deliver soon.
Okay. Yes.
I would think that 60% target is quite a bit more important than the other one. The one is a means to achieve the other. But on the 60% target, we are not on track. You know, the minus 20% target for 2030 is nowhere near enough to land at minus 60 in 2050. You know, we shouldn't think if we hit that target that we are on track for meeting 2050. It's not true. We need much more progress by 2030 to be anywhere near the target in 2050. But it is absolutely doable. There's zillions of scenarios that point this out. But you know, we've seen lots of ideas on how we can accelerate, and we should. We're really complacent.
Okay, Olivier.
Completely agree. We're ready, but it takes a quantum leap to get there. And cooperation, we need to stand up and work together. I mean, if we stay idle, like, you know, it's going like this, we'll be all asleep and, you know, I don't know. No, for us, it needs a quantum leap change to get there.
Okay.
Difficult situation. If I say yes, you say I'm a dreamer. If I say no, the Commission will start infringement procedure against Germany. I think in the cities it can be done. In long-distance transport, it's difficult.
Okay.
Except if we do a quantum leap on our thinking.
Okay.
I think that's what we need. Okay.
Okay, thanks very much. Difficult to sum up these debates. I think one thing we've learned is there are a range of solutions out there, but I think we have to get the policy framework right, and I'm not quite sure that we're there yet, but I hear people from different sectors stressing the importance of targets, of a predictable, to create a predictable investment environment, which so we have policymakers and industry coming together and delivering. And it also sounds like it's going to take a change in consumer attitudes, but I think we're seeing that already happening, certainly in the urban space, and that's very encouraging. I'd like to thank all of our speakers for joining us today, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming along and spending your afternoon here. If I could ask you one small favour, it's to complete the feedback forms, and then I have the pleasure to be able to invite you to a networking reception outside the room here. So thank you all very much.